We're on page 176. And we're talking about humility, about anava. I mentioned that part of humility is 176, but not in that book, so you can just listen.
Okay. Book. No. Okay.
So we do turn the camera on already?
Yeah, but we're okay. We're is that Baruch over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it on already?
We're on page 176. We're talking about humility, anava, and we mentioned that in the midah of humility is the character trait of how to talk to other people, how to treat other people. It's not just about being humble and walking with your back bent over and all those things. It also means to be humble in the way you deal with other people. You should be as courteous, as nice to other people as you can. What does it mean as you can? Sometimes there are people it's really hard to be nice to.
Yeah.
They do everything in their power to make your life miserable. So we're not telling you to be nice to everybody like a fool. Rather, to be nice to everybody, especially to those that you can be, that you physically can be nice to them. And even if there's a rude person among them. You should endure him, put up with him, empathize with his inadequacy, and feel sorry for his inferiority. To be humble doesn't mean that you treat everybody that they're better than you, that they're equal to you. Sometimes I put up with you. It's not that I love you, it's not that I think that you're greater than me, it's that I'm doing you a kindness by putting up with you. It's good. I'll tell you the truth, and oftentimes I tell this to couples. I was just by our parents. It doesn't make a difference if it goes from man to woman or woman to man, but very often when a couple's in a relationship, they struggle, they fight, they have arguments, they have all kinds of issues and things that go on. Even if a person is struggling with them, and it's normal for spouses to struggle with each other. But sometimes you just have to put up in the geda of, I have sympathy for your inferiority. I have rachmanut on you, that you are the way you are. But what can I do? It's kind of like a parent. Sometimes your kids are just, they have got a problem. But what can you do? You put up with the child because the child is dependent on you. So there's a limit to how long you can do this for. There's a limit to who you can do this with. But sometimes, we have this idea that everybody has to be equal. When everyone's equal, so nobody's dependent on me, and therefore I expect them to act like an equal. You don't expect from your child to act like an equal, and therefore you put up with certain things. Part of anava is knowing, the other person that I'm in a relationship with is just not as refined as I am. Or they're lacking in this department. It doesn't mean that I'm not lacking in another department. But you're allowed to know another person's flaw and to put up with it. Rabbi Shlomo Melech was like, Kol Peshaim Techaseh Ahava. Love can cover all imperfections.
There's a problem
Yeah.
that some relationships end up with, it's like you think you can heal somebody. I mean, it's like almost like your spouse is your patient, and you have pity on them, and you try to heal them, and it creates tremendous resentment.
That's also true. And here I'm not telling you to. This is like I said. There's a limit to how long, with who, and with which matters. But there's a place for this as well. ולא יסיענו יצר המריבה לקחת ממנו נקם או לנטור לו או לשנוא אותו. Don't get swept away by the yetzer hara to hate people and to fight with them and to bear a grudge with them. כדי שלא יעבור על אחת הלווין שהזהירה התורה מפניהם, so you don't violate one of the prohibitions the Torah mentions. כמאמרו יתהללך, Hashem says, לא תקום ולא תיטור ולא תשנא את אחיך בלבביך. Do not take revenge, don't bear a grudge, do not hate your brother in your heart. Hilla, before you sit down, do you want to grab me that book with the orange stripes on it, on the left? Very good, thank you. I want to read to you a letter that I once sent out to the community many years ago in an unfortunate circumstance.
Pre-KSH?
Pre-KSH. Before I tell you what the Rambam says, I want to know that the Rambam was from our first rabbis who had terrible wars against him. People decided that they were going to make his life as miserable as possible. And the Rambam was persecuted and chased after, and people made his life miserable, and all kinds of things like that. And today we treat the Rambam like he was the greatest of sages in the world, but in his lifetime, the Rambam merited to feel that from some people, and to feel like he was the Satan incarnate by other people. They made his life miserable. There's a halakha that says, Kofin al midat Sdom. We can beat a person if they act like someone from Sdom. We can force them to do something against their will if they act like a person from Sdom. Tell me about Sdom. Where is Sdom? What is Sdom?
Oh, it's a horrible place.
It's a horrible place. People are
Evil.
selfish. People are cruel. People are evil. It's like when you say Sdom, in Judaism, that's like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So, what is Midat Sdom? Someone who acts like Sdom? Let's give you an example. I don't care much about the halachic weight that these examples give. I don't even know if they're accurate. Just the idea. Let's say you have in your house a tree. It's in your backyard, your front yard. But it's on your property, and it's a beautiful big tree that gives a lot of shade. And one day you walk into your drive, pulling your car into your driveway, and you see somebody sitting on the sidewalk. Is the sidewalk public property? Yes. They're sitting on the sidewalk in the shade of your tree. And you get upset. I don't want you using my tree. Move over on the sidewalk. You can't use my shade. Or pay me for the shade that you're using for my tree. Do you own the shade of your tree?
No.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
according to halakha you own the shade of your tree.
Yes.
Maybe. It could be. So now you take them to Beit Din, to rabbinic court, and say, hey, this guy was sitting in my tree. I don't want him sitting in the shade of my tree. Does he have the right to sue for his tree?
Yeah.
Let's say yes. Our rabbis would beat him in Beit Din and force him. They said, what kind of person? What are you losing from letting a person sit in the shade of your tree? Yeah, you have the right to your tree, but what do you lose? They're gaining. They're sitting in the shade. And nothing happened to you. Nothing happened to your property. They didn't cut down your tree. They didn't take away the branches. Why are you such a bad person? You're like a person from Sdom. So now listen to the way the Rambam uses this argument. Remember this halakha. You can midat Sdom. The rule is ze nehena v'ze lo chaser. So long as one person is benefiting and the other person isn't losing from you benefiting, then you're not stealing. So for example, if I see someone's candle lit and I light a candle from their candle, did they lose anything? So do I have to ask permission before I light the candle? No. Even though they own the candle and they own the flame, I didn't take any fire from them because they lit my candle.
You would be the blight in terms of...
That could be. But if I have a person, my next door neighbor has a fruit tree, and I take the fruits from his fruit tree, see, I'm getting, but is he losing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and therefore in that situation you have to ask first. That's the difference
What if
between
it-
midat Sdom and
if
stealing.
it,
That's already a different question.
If it falls down.
Yeah.
no, like if
If it leans
comes
over
into
the
your
property, that's already a...
I often wonder about
So there was a rabbi named Rabbi Yosef ben Jabbar, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He was a rabbi in Baghdad. And he heard another rabbi speak very bad about the Rambam. He said terrible things about the Rambam. And so he decided to put an end to it, to put a stop to it, and he fought with the rabbi who spoke bad about the Rambam. So listen to what the Rambam writes back there. Higia lanu, a message came to us, the knowledge came to us, Sheyesham, that over there in Baghdad, there's somebody, Mishum Daber Aleinu Raot, somebody who speaks evil about us. He likes to say bad things about us. Veshamanu, and we also heard a rumor, Shata Machita Biadam, that you rebuked them. Vitromamta Kenegdam, and you stood up against them to stand up for my honor. Says the Rambam, Al Ta'aseh Devar Zeh. Don't do this. Don't fight for me. Anachnu Muchalim Lekol Mi Sheyaseh Zot. I forgive anybody who does this to me, Bishvil Sichluto, because of his foolishness, because of his lack of intelligence that he fights against me. V'chosh again, he says, how much more so do I forgive the person, Mi Sheyesh Lo Bazeh To'elet, V'lo Yazik Otanu. He says, maybe he's even gaining something from this. Maybe by this rabbi putting me down in public, it makes him feel smart. Maybe it makes his community respect him more. So, if I forgive the person who does this because he's a fool, of course I forgive the person who's actually benefiting from it.
So today tweeting would be
I understand the Rambam is like looking at the scenario completely different than anybody else. He says it doesn't harm us. So he's disgracing himself by arguing. I don't lose anything by him speaking bad about me. He's gaining something from speaking bad about me. Says the Rambam, V'kofin al midat Sdom, and I could be beaten in Bedin because I am like a person from Sdom. He's benefiting, I'm not losing anything, and I'm still trying to tell him to stop. That's like the person who's sitting in the shade of my tree. ויותר מכל זה, and how much more than this, שאתה מביא על עצמך מריבות ורעות שאין בהם צורך. A little different, it's worlds of different.
Yeah.
But here you see the greatness of the Rambam.
Sitting at the
Rambam says, someone who speaks bad about me, if it's good for him, מה טוב
sitting in
ומלא.
my house under my watch. I don't know if I can come and sit there.
Yeah, that's right, it's not a good example. The Rambam is being a tzaddik, what do you want from him? You're right. So, but the worst thing is, שאתה מביא על עצמך מריבות ורעות שאין בהן צורך. You bring a lot of controversy upon yourself by standing up for me, says the Rambam, and it's needless for you to get involved in these controversies. ואנחנו לא נבקש סיוע מאדם. We don't ask for anybody's help. ונניח כל אדם עם מה שירצה לעצמו, anybody can do whatever they want. If it's good for them, let them talk about me, says the Rambam.
This Lashon Hara, he's eating it.
He didn't say they're doing something right. He's saying, why do I care if they speak about me?
This is what you sent out to the community?
Yeah, back in the day. I mentioned as a community, so let them talk. The person who talks, they're getting something out of it. Let them get something out of it. It changes something about us? Doesn't change. So what do we care? Our Chachamim. This is the way of our Chachamim. You can start arguing with every person who talks down to you. I was once in a place recently. I'm not gonna tell you what. Came to a place, and look, I started saying, "This is the one. He lets people eat this, lets people do that."
That's
And I was just sitting there. What do you say to that person? This person's not even a Talmid Chacham. A rabbi, yes. A Talmid Chacham, not. It's a new generation we have today. Rabbis, not Talmid Chacham. Even if I wanted to argue with them in halakha, I would have no language with which to argue with them. Shulchan Aruch, they never opened a Shulchan Aruch in their life. So what am I supposed to do? Is to argue with him? The letter, I'd say, look in the Igrot Moshe, Rabbi Moshe finds it. He doesn't own a copy of Igrot Moshe, Rabbi Moshe finds it. So what do you do? You're just quiet. If this person's talking about you, you know you're doing a good job. It says Rabbi Nachman Abrestiv, if you come into a city and you see that nobody's fighting with the rabbi, then you should know the rabbi is a good for nothing rabbi. He said, because what kind of, it says only liars, they're friends with each other. Why? Because liars, hey, how do you like my dress? Oh, it looks so nice on you. It's disgusting. But I'm going to tell you it looks nice on you. The person says that they had a picture once in the newspaper, like a cartoon, of a man and a woman. He was putting his tie on in the mirror, and she says, my dear husband, do I look fat? And he says, my dear wife, do I look stupid? What are you going to say in such a situation? Sometimes liars, they're all able to be friends with each other. But people who tell the truth have a very hard time being friends with each other. So if you know people are arguing with you, Baruch Hashem.
nice tie. That really is a good tie.
Rabbeinu Avraham, the son of the same Rambam that I just read to you. he tells you that oftentimes you put up with people, but not because they're such special people that you need to put up with them, but because it takes away from your dignity when you get involved with people who are so much beneath you. I've said this before. My wife has a favorite saying, which is never argue with a fool, because they'll drag you down to their level and then they'll beat you with experience. That's some people, they're just really good at being stupid. And so you fight with them, and then you realize, like, I'm so lost in this game of being a bad person, I don't even know what to do anymore. So just leave it, don't get involved. Keep walking. This is part of the midah of another. Now, like I mentioned before, there are times where we have to stick up for ourselves, and that's the continuation of Abinah. Right now we're dealing with this half of the coin first, before we deal with the other half of the coin. Nobody here is telling you put up with everything. Rather, if it's the kind of place in life and the time in life and the circumstances are right, that by you not dealing with them, you'll be okay, so be okay. Don't get involved. Don't look for needless problems.
But it's not just a term liturgy.
No, it's exactly not. That's very good. It's not the kind of jig. And in fact, in a few pages, we're going to talk about the leaders, which we started a few weeks ago, and then we jumped back. That's why I didn't know what page we were on. Which is a leader, if a president of a country were to act in the same manner, it would be irresponsible of them. Because if they are viewed as a pushover by other people, then it will cause lawlessness in the land. In a community, if that was that way, if in a home, if a parent was this way with their child, it could just cause for a disaster. And so there's a time and a place for everything, and there's a kind of relationship for this kind of. There's a circumstance in which this relationship is healthy and where it's not. So Hashem, we'll talk more about this tomorrow.